let's go to our titular topic, our very first one. This
Yeah.
is something a lot of people have been wondering about.
Oh, okay.
And that is, I think, something that surprised both of us. I wasn't expecting this. I don't think anybody was, frankly. It makes sense now in hindsight, but what we're referring to is the announcement that Assassin's Creed Mirage has gone gold. That's great. Kind of has to do that before it launches. But also, it's coming out a week early. They just straight up,
What?
yeah, they yeeted that launch date, scooted it forward, and now it's releasing a week earlier on October 5th. And when I said this makes sense now that we're looking at it, I think it makes sense because like they wanted more time away from Spider-Man, which is
100%.
very fair. So I think it's a good
got a
move
great
for
spot.
business. I think it's
Yeah.
got plenty of time, 2 full weeks for a shorter game to sit on the sales charts and for people to try it. I think that's a no-brainer. And it also communicates a sense of confidence on their part that they're like, yeah, this is so polished, we're going to move it up. We're not delaying it. We're going to move it up. That I think
To be a
altogether.
good devil's advocate, though, Assassin's Creed Valhalla moved up a week as well.
Yeah.
And that was like a bug fest. So
And
we
dude-
should not like celebrate just yet.
Exactly.
Although the reason for Valhalla was different because they were like, okay, let's launch with the Xbox because they had the Xbox deal.
Mhm.
But yeah, I have a feeling this is probably going to be a bit different. I hope.
Yeah,
I
as
think
long as they
Valhalla's
don't
also-
have like, you remember with Valhalla they had that glitch. For one, the screen tearing was horrible for so long, but secondly, they had that glitch for like months where you would just load in and Ivor was super drunk every
No,
time
that
you
was
loaded in.
actually after a festival. That was after the first festival. So that was like it happened with the Yule festival, like the first one they did, and that happened over like Christmas. So then all the developers were out, and then the first update was like end of January or something.
So they're like,
And the fun thing was, it came back often. Like it somehow sneaked back into the game, and I remember this, and I had like in my videos tricks on how to get rid of the drunk Eivor. It was a whole thing.
what a gem. It's one of those things where you're like, is this a bug or a feature? Like, did they mean to do? Because maybe like being part of the festival, it's like an inside joke that every time you load back in, it's like I've always been just plastered while you've been away not playing the game. But no, it was a bug that everybody was out of the office and wouldn't fix. But oh yeah, and that bug where Ivor would keep wearing the skull mask. I remember there were a couple where like clothing didn't behave right.
Gloucestershire. Yeah. There were many things, but those were not even like the biggest ones. Like I could not even finish my main story arc until that end of January patch. So like more than 2 months after launch, because if I would go to the Alliance table, and like select the thing that I had to go to, I would be stuck at the table. I could not move. And in that sort of cutscene, you cannot like quick save or do whatever. So I could just not finish the game until that point. There were many things like even remember like PowerPix, who does like trophy guides. They said like, we can't finish this guide because this game is so broken. It's so hard. It's like very easy to forget because like 3 years ago, but Valhalla was really, really broken at launch. So I hope it's different this time.
Yeah,
I think it is. They delayed this a couple of times. Like it was planned for February. So
that's where I'm at. I'm like, I like they've delayed it so much, and it seems as though they're pretty confident with it. But we'll see. As far as I know, and you guys know, if like I had played it at this point, I just wouldn't talk about this. But as far as I know, nobody has gotten their hands on it from the press. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But I haven't tried it. I haven't touched it. I think Valhalla, they did play tests like 6 months beforehand. Yeah.
July was like, because it was of course COVID, so they did like the first Ubisoft Forward, and we could then play it.
Yeah. So, but I mean, then again, that was also a much bigger game from a much bigger group of developers, so it's just different. So who knows?
Yeah.
Fingers
I think it
crossed.
will be fine though.
Yeah.
But it makes sense business wise. Like it's now a great spot. Like there's nothing else happening. I think Forza is like the biggest game that is coming out like close after that. It was like October 10th, and that's of course a completely different type of game.
Yeah.
And then you have like Alan Wake on October, or like Lords of the Fallen on October 13th. So that's like 1 week after, which also kind of a different game. And then you have Spider-Man and Alan Wake and stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be
yeah.
interesting.
They also want to make that microtransaction money.
Oh, baby.
Because, of course, Ubisoft could not do it to have any item packs at the launch. So we, of course, know Mirage will not have any DLC or post-launch plan. But, of course, it's still an Assassin's Creed game. So they will have, even though it's like a return to the roots thing, they still want to have the Fire Demon mythical pack. And if you're like a listener, it's like it's like a demon outfit, like a fire sword, and it's a rhino mount or something. I think the mount looks pretty cool, but I think it will be very weird to rock this in Mirage when you're like this stealth assassin demon hunt. I don't know what's going on here, but hey, they're gonna have item packs at launch. I first thought they would only do the deluxe edition pack for Prince of Persia, because we of course know there's a deluxe edition where you get those items, and they usually have like an upgrade for if you bought the regular edition and want to upgrade. But no, there will be item packs for the game as well. What's your take on that?
I mean, I don't think this surprises anybody. It's unfortunate. Like, I just would prefer not to have this. Even Assassin's Creed Valhalla, even that game had the paid skins and outfits and stuff. And the reason I had a problem with those was not because they were cosmetic, but because they actually did at times affect gameplay. They had like, you could fully upgrade them, whereas other gear was capped at certain points, so you'd have to swap it out. Like, it just, and there was one, it was like a black outfit. Maybe Joe Raptor remembers what it's called, but it was like a berserker outfit, maybe, had skulls on it, and it had like poison effect damage that could be output.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah, and like that's something where if you pay
Draugr set.
The Draugr. Yes.
Yeah.
That one, like if you use that, the game is significantly easier, especially in the early hours. And
to be fair though, Valhalla was really easy. Like I remember a lot of people saying I just played the game with the Raven Clan armor. Like what we figured out a few months after launch is that gear didn't even matter.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, the poison was pretty OP, but then your whole screen would be like green with the poison, so wasn't even fun. But yeah, you're right. It still in a single player game, it's like kind of like activating a cheat code. You only have to pay for it, I guess.
Yeah.
But my oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna agree and be like, yeah, I think in general AC Valhalla is too easy. Even when I did that revisit video, we went back and I tried setting the enemy scaling where it sets enemies like 60 levels above you or something like that, and it still was like a walk in the park. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
what I did was I tried to challenge myself, because I was like figuring this out as well. Like, wow, this game is super easy. So I was like as like a level like 80 Eivor. Of course, like the max level was 360, I think, at launch, something like that. I just went to like the Winchester area, which was like the most high level area. Everyone was like a skill level, and I could still beat them.
Yeah.
But that was because they did not want in Valhalla the sort of bullet spongy sort of enemies that we saw in Odyssey. That was, of course, one of the critiques. So they tried to dial it back, but
they went
with the whole
complete opposite direction.
Yeah. So, and you could, of course, also assassinate everyone in one hit. So your whole gear wasn't really interesting. But that's, of course, like the whole Valhalla jack of all trades, master of none story. What do you think of this theory, though? Because I did hear, like, I think maybe French YouTuber Jonathan said it, or I heard it somewhere else, but that it was like Ubisoft is kind of like maybe not scared with this game, but they, of course, like left the old school Assassin's Creed experiences behind, because Syndicate did not. It was the only game during the PS4 generation that did not sell 10 million. So they, of course, moved to Origins, found big success, also because the item packs in an RPG make way more sense, and they could very easily add extra content. There was way more content, so people were spending more time. And if people spend more time, that's what the companies like figured out, they will likely spend more money on extra content as well. So with Mirage, they're kind of like, okay, so we're already releasing this at a lower price. We want to get more out of it. That's likely also where the item packs obviously come in. I mean, even in like the older games before the RPG games, we still saw a lot of microtransactions, but now they're are applying the RPG stuff. But maybe if they see that these item packs work in a Mirage game as well, they might be like, okay, maybe it's not weird to invest more in these old school games, because next to the price that we asked for the full game, we can also make that extra money. So because the item packs are like the highest profit. It's like the cost to make them versus what they get is huge. So that's why they're kind of pushing the RPG games. But maybe because if they see that these item packs sell well in Mirage as well, it might be like, okay, the game did pretty well. We can actually extract more out of people. Like, I'm just saying, I don't want them to like completely change the progression or add an XP boost in Mirage. That doesn't make sense. But like these item packs, maybe in their mind do. Do you kind of try see what I'm kind of saying here?
I think just in general, if people want more games like Mirage, they need to vote with their wallets and buy it at launch at full price. That's, love it or hate it, that's how you make a company aware that you like X, is by buying it at full price when it launches. So I think that's the easiest way. And I'm not gonna for one, we don't even know specifically what these cosmetic packs or outfit packs and things even are. We've seen a data mine picture, we've seen leaks and stuff, but we haven't seen the actual items listed with effects on gameplay. So like, I'm not going to recommend, and buy all the microtransactions if you want more.
No, I'm not saying that either.
Yeah, but I do think they are going to try to make Mirage as profitable as possible with these being placed in there. And frankly, if they do sell well, I think Ubisoft executives are much more likely to greenlight another one, because they're like, oh, well, I mean, honestly, if you guys are gonna like buy up these cosmetic packs and we get a lot of goodwill with our gamers and our fans, that's a win-win. Let's do that. So we'll see. I don't know how well something like the Fire Demon pack sells in a 20-hour game that most people are gonna finish in a weekend or two. I just don't know how many people are gonna invest in a cosmetic outfit like that, but I guess we'll
it
see.
looks like a combat outfit. While we learned Basim is like a fragile character. He's gonna die in like a few hits. And there are even enemies. Like in one of the behind the scenes videos, there's like one pop-up saying, these guys are armored enemies. They don't take any damage from melee hits and from ranged weapons. So you have to attack them from behind. So basically sneak up to them, assassinate them. How is that gonna work with the Fire Demon pack? You're like slamming them and it doesn't. So I'm already like really curious, or maybe this has like a cheat where it's like, but this weapon can like slice through armor. I would not be surprised, because we do know the sword and the dagger. That's like the only weapons that Basim can use. They will have perks, just like the armor sets. And sure, they can go the cosmetic route, but for Valhalla, Odyssey, Origins did have only cosmetic outfits, but Odyssey and Valhalla did not. Yeah. So. Dude, it will be interesting.
That would be so conflicting too, because it's like, say they do drop this and it's, I don't know, let's just say $15-20, and it's like
it's gonna cost us.
So let's say it's $20, and if you buy it now, it gives you like a Valhalla sword, and you can just chop people down and play it like Valhalla and not bother with the stealth at all. Like, clearly, it's not just cosmetic. It's actually changing the game from a stealth game to an action fighting game.
Yeah.
But it's also like, if you don't want to deal with it, just don't buy it, and you'll just play the game as a stealth game. The only problem would be is if they balanced it, assuming or like heavily pushing you into buying the melee thing. Either way, that would be insane. Like, can you imagine if that's I don't know what else this is.
We already know, like, that's important to know. There won't be, I don't think there's like an in-game store in Mirage, although it's still Ubisoft. So like, I also did not expect these item packs, but we do know that like, if you look at the inventory screen, your gear menu, you in the RPG games on the top right corner had like go to store, right? You had like the D-pad option. And in Mirage, there's not there. That's like a quick save button. So I really think you boot up Mirage, you see the same menu that we had in Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. So with the tiles that says like, hey, watch the showcase, or like, hey, go to Ubisoft Connect for extra items, or thanks for joining Mirage in the weekend, like those messages. It will have an advertisement for this demon pack. Then you jump into the game and you will not see it at all. I think that's gonna happen. And then I'm like, okay. But the moment it's like, hey, you just killed a new order target, but did you know that with the fire demon pack, you can just walk up to them and breathe fire and then they die? Yeah, that's not gonna fly over.
Or
well.
the Iron Man pack, where you can come
Oh,
and
it's back! It's back,
baby.
We now got the license, baby. So we're back.
I don't know. I mean, I personally, and I don't have stats to like to back this up. This is a blind assertion that nobody should believe. That being said, I am convinced. No, I blindly think that most people who want to go and buy cosmetics are going to seek them out. I can't imagine that many people are just like sitting down to play a game like Mirage and are like, well, I wasn't going to buy a skin, but I saw this advertisement on the main menu and they convinced me. I think most people that are just playing a single player game are in it to play it. And then those who are like, no, I want to look badass while doing this, will do it. I was talking to somebody at a party just like last week, and they said that they were somebody that every game they play, they like to get all sorts of different cosmetics. They are the players that have like 50 skins in Call of Duty, 100 in Fortnite. Like that's one of their things. It's like collecting minifigures for them. And I know that sounds weird to us because we're not like that, but there are people like that where they're going to seek out the skins regardless of where they are, if they're tucked in a menu or if they're accessible in the inventory screen or whatever. So I don't think they even need to be that aggressive with it. And I don't think it'll affect their bottom line that much. So hopefully they do what you're saying and they just offer it. And then those who want it will seek it out. And then everybody else just doesn't have to be bothered by it.
Probably. Yeah, that's what I think will happen. And worth noting as well, because that's what I sometimes had with Valhalla, where it was like all those armor sets in Valhalla were not that exciting. But then you saw the really cool outfits in the shop, and it was like, hey, but it would have been cool if we could just earn that in the game. Like, the Fire Demon pack was never going to be an outfit you could, like, earn in the game. So I think that's also, like, worth pointing out, that it's not like an item that they, like that was, like, a reward for doing something. Now they're selling it instead.
Yeah.
It feels like a really dedicated thing. Hey, I'm gonna be like figuring it out. I'm curious about that. So we will see. But good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think you raised a good point with it being not
cut out.
I guess it's not cut out. This clearly was made completely separately. Like I think it was Origins had that freaking Final Fantasy crossover, and like they had like a special skin and sword or something.
It was free. That was all free.
It was free. Yeah, it was like,
yeah.
I don't know. But like that was something where I was like, yeah, if you're like really immersed in the world of ancient Egypt, using any of this stuff or seeing any of this is probably going to pull you out. But that's why you just don't bother with it if you're not interested.